You know what? As it's the last day, and tomorrow is the first day of Advent, I think what I'm going to do, shake it up a little and actually show you the stropping. Because obviously you've seen the stropping before, you've seen it sped up 20 times, because that's the speed that I speed up to, because it's a preset and I can't be bothered to do anything else. Let's see if I can set up this camera properly for that. So, welcome to the other side of my bathroom. And that's still going. And let's see, I think that's what we want. Is that is staying where it is. Nice. And let's see. So I'm going to take this and get there. Is that working? Just about. Let's see if I can. Yeah. So I'm just hooking this off of a tap. But presumably this is just going to zoom in on the toothpaste, not anything else. Okay. So what we do, we have our canvas belt here, and it's going to hold it flat. So what you'll see, you've got obviously a sharp end and a rolly back end. Okay, so all you need to do is, I'll try and do that at an angle there, we'll just give it a up to there. So you just hold it flat to the canvas to do that. I'll bring it back so that you can see it. There you go. So you can't see it. And then we just roll it onto the other side and then bring it back the other way. You see? You want to make sure you get some movement on it so that you, in doing this bit, in going that way, you start from here, you see that end of it is on the canvas, the other side is not, but by the time you get down to the other side, you can see that side is now on the canvas, and that way you've managed to get the entire thing covered, and then we flip over and do the same thing the other way, and that's 2, and now 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Now most guys that I've seen, they say 30 is about good for the entire process. I'm weird like that, so welcome to the other side. Now this one, you might be able to tell, I once put this in a bag with a load of argan oil, which managed to spill everywhere because it didn't have a very good lid on it. And so now I've got weird stains here and here, but let's hope it works. So this is now, what we've done with this side, if we've got any like obvious burrs or anything like that, they should have shaved them all off and just like scraped them all off. Just any really obvious imperfections in the blade. And then this side, being that it is effectively smooth leather, it's not completely smooth leather, but it's getting there, then that one is going to actually give us the actual razor edge that we need. I mean, the razor edge is already there. All you're doing with this, so this is not sharpening. Sharpening you do with a, well, honing. Honing you do with a whetstone. So I say you do. Somebody that knows what they're doing does with a whetstone, and then they give it to you in a state where all you need to do is this part of it regularly, just to keep, this is for maintenance. This is not I have a dull blade and it's no longer going to be dull. It's I have used this blade, therefore it will have a bit of warp to it where it's been cutting through hairs, and we're going to just iron that out. So we just do the exact same process. We go, that's 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, and there we go. That's how many I like to do. And this is the point, well no, at about 50 was where I realised I really should have turned on the hot water by now. So that was silly of me. Let's do that now. There we go. Okay, so that's how I strop. Should you want to watch instead a video by somebody who knows how to shave and how to maintain a razor, that's probably a more sensible idea. I would not begrudge you that. There we go. And now I've got to wait for this to warm up. So obviously you want hot water to open up the pores or some bollocks, and I think I mentioned at the start that I'm pretty sure the hot water thing is like you put it on and then you have to immediately go in. If you leave it any time at all, then what will happen is the pores will open up and then they'll actually drag in the hair, which is even worse. Regardless. Either way, this is the last day of it, so who cares? Okay, I may as well start talking now. So, this is the last day, therefore we have a recap. So, first and foremost, we have what we didn't do on Wednesday, which is the state of the moustache. There's a weird thing I've just noticed. So, where I've not cut my hair for ages, I've got the scraggly hair on the back of my neck going on here, making it look a bit like a mullet. And I'm so when I then see this moustache with this bit of weird mullet thing going on, then I do look very, 80s and terrible. And as ever, I am under no illusion that this looks good. Apparently some other people are. Oh, hello. I've noticed I've actually got some lip action there. Okay, so some people are under an illusion this looks good. Those people are wrong. It does not look good. And I figured out why. Apart from generally. So, the thing about a good moustache, like a properly massive whacking moustache, so there's two parts to it. There is the quality of the hair. So this is why, back when I used to have a lot of facial hair, and I would do the whole twirly moustache thing, it never really worked. It was too wispy. Well, it wasn't. It was too crinkly and stiff, and it didn't really hold together properly or anything like that. So there's the quality of the hair itself. It has to be one that is going to look good, to feel good. Which mine is just too coarse and it doesn't have enough. It's the opposite problem I have with my hair, where I would like my hair to be a bit coarser so that it can hold its own shape. Instead, it's just really thin, and I mean there's lots of it. Well, there used to be lots of it, but it just sort of falls down. Is useless. The other side of it is the bed that it grows on. Now, I used to think that it was to do with like how big your lip is, and then I realised whilst having a conversation with somebody with a better moustache than me, that actually it's not so much the size of the lip, it's where on the lip the moustache grows. So you can see on mine where this is the bit where the moustache is, and if you remember, I said that anything that grows within the nasolabial lines is your moustache, and that is the key, because people with proper thick moustaches, they also grow moustache on this bit, like all the way up to the top. They're growing moustache. No, maybe not all the way up, but they've got a significant extra chunk on the top there, and that's what gives you that really good moustache that everyone's like, nice, that full-on sort of Tom Selleck type situation or going on. And yeah, that's what you want from a moustache. That's what you will not get from my moustache, because as you'll be able to see, being that you have seen me shaving and you know that I have not been shaving within the nasolabial lines, then I cannot grow that moustache. My facial hair does not grow there. In much the same way that my facial hair does not. In fact, there may well be a correlation between people whose beards will grow along this line here, so you can do that fancy contouring thing going on, and people whose moustaches grow here. It may just be that it goes all the way across. At which point, of course, what you can then do is draw yourself a line across there, like you had a nosebleed while you were asleep. You know the one. So yeah, that's great, and that's what I learned. And obviously the other thing that I learned in this time is that I still don't particularly like moustache. Sometimes I look at it and I think, oh, there's a cool thing going on there for whatever reason. Well, in a sum total, as a net total, no, it's not. No, it's not. Altogether, as a package, not good. Would not recommend. Would not buy again. Merely B++. And there you go. You know what? That's another thing. You get people say about like all participation awards and things like that. There's nothing wrong with a participation award. That just shows that people are loved. What there is wrong with is this whole thing that if you're not given 5 stars, then you did really shit. No. If you're given less than 2.5 stars, you did really shit. If you're given 5 stars, you were perfection. Everything about that was amazing, and on top of that, there was something just extra magical about the experience. Whatever it is that you were doing. So could people please stop just giving everything 5 stars when at best it was a 4-star because they just did it right. I mean, realistically, if all they did was do what they should have done, then that's a 2.5 star. That's, you just did what needed doing, it's fine. So, yes, that's not what we're talking about though. We are doing a recap and an update on how the goals of this are going. And the next thing that we need to recap, of course, is my thumbnail. You may have seen it whilst I was stropping. Now, I was having this debate with somebody in the pub last night where, oh, there we go. I did not put any oil on there. Let me do that. Okay. There we go. Yeah, so we're having this debate in the pub last night of whether it would actually come off. Now, one friend of mine said that when this happened to her, the time it came off, it stayed on for ages, and then the time it came off was when she had a nice long bath. And then she looked down and there was something floating in the bath, and it was her nail, which is a delightful story. I'm sure everybody wanted to hear. But it's important for people wondering, are their nails going to fall off? Because that's kind of the key to it, is your nail still adhering to the bed underneath it? Because if it's not, it's coming off. You know, and then you've got no two ways about it. At some point, it's going to just have nothing to hold on to. Gravity is going to take it. Or just knocking it with something else. Which happens all the damn time. The amount of times that you accidentally knock your thumbnail and you didn't realise, because normally your thumbnail doesn't feel weird, but as soon as you start knocking it when it's coming off, oh, it feels weird. And yeah, and it turns out I have silly hands that go everywhere. So silly. Should not be allowed to hold a knife to anyone's throat. So yeah. So that's what we're looking for. Now, what's going on with my thumbnail? The vast majority of it, I am willing to say, is definitely not making contact with the bed underneath. So, you can tell by the colour. You're probably not going to be able to tell particularly well. But the colour around these bits where you can see like this weird and discoloured there, it's not, well, as in by weird and discoloured I mean not black, I like the rest of it. And this bit here, it's kind of like, that you can see that the colour that you're supposed to have underneath, but what you're looking through is like a bad mullion window type situation, you know, it's sort of like frosted window type thing. And so, yeah, so that looks weird. However, on this side, that is what a thumbnail, that's what a nail should look like. In fact, you have a nail right next to it to compare with if this has decided to focus properly, which it probably hasn't, but I don't know. And so, that bit is still holding on strong. So then the question becomes, what is going on underneath that skin bit, the cuticle as some people might call it, but I feel like that's probably not right either. And the answer is, I don't know, because it's under there. Now what I will say is that you might be able to tell is there is definitely scab under there. That scab has moved upwards, so it used to be further down and it is now further up. But yeah, the point is, this has held on for longer than I was expecting. I was expecting about day 15 or something like that to have this fantastic video where I get to peel off that nail in front of everybody. I'll have been holding it onto it for a good like 8 hours or something, be like, oh, it's ready to go, and then I'll be like, and then everyone will be like, oh, it's disgusting, what do you do that for? Except they won't, because there'll have been like 5 people, because, you know. Yeah. So, that didn't happen. I'm sorry to disappoint everybody. And yeah. And that's where we are with that. So my plan tomorrow, I think, is going to be, I need to get up to Victoria Park to sing with my choir. But that's at like, it's after 12, so we've got time. So I think what I'll do is I'll do a final video without much dialogue of me removing the moustache. And the reason that it won't have much dialogue, apart from the fact that these are all monologues, is that I will not be using my razor or my other razor, because you have 2 razors. You have to have 2 razors to give the metal time to... I've explained this before in a previous video, I'm sure you've watched it. Either way, so I have 2 razors. I'm not going to be using either of those razors. Instead, I will be using my clippers, and the thing about using clippers is they make even more noise, because for people that don't know what clippers sound like, when they're charged, they make even more noise. I may need to find a charger for that. Lovely. I think it's just cassette lead, so maybe I'll get away with that, but I'm guessing it's not actually. It just looks like one to confuse people, because yay, bathroom appliances. Yeah, so I think that's just going to come off, and the goal now is going to be stubbly face. I think that's what I'm going to go with, is stubbly face. And on the understanding that apparently I look good when I smile, you know, really brings my eyes out, can be really pretty if I smiled, that kind of thing. And you can see the smile better, supposedly, when I don't have a full beard going on, which is obviously what I would want to have, is the full beard. Now, as ever, should any ladies want to take me off the market and then lock down a preference for my facial hair, then they are free to try that. Depending on what that preference for the facial hair is, it's probably on the cards, you know, as long as my face is able to grow it, I am happy to indulge those particular proclivities. So, there you go, ladies. Who's going to give you a better offer than that? Somebody with a job? Ah, Anyway, so yeah, that's the plan going forward for the facial hair. Yeah. I'm wondering if I should do this as an extra long video and actually go against the grain a bit and see if I can get a proper close shave. I'm thinking no, because I'm already out of things to say. So let's not do that. And probably I'm going to run out of shaving oil as well. So, right. And yeah. And then finally, what's going on with my mum? You know, I always remember that back in '97, I think it was, when Princess Diana died, and there was all this news coverage, like a whole week of news coverage about her death and about her being dead. And it was pretty much, I mean, obviously you had the 24-hour news coverage on the day. This is pretty much before 24-hour news coverage is all that much a thing. But yeah, it was like all day then, and then it was just constantly the main topic on the news for the next week or more. And I couldn't help thinking, the news today, Princess Diana, not a zombie as yet. Or, you know, Kensington Palace has yet to announce her zombie status. Here's our reporter on the scene to tell us about how much she isn't a zombie. And it still holds true, really. That as much as people will be like, oh, how are you getting on and that kind of thing, I mean, she's not any less dead. She's gonna just is dead. You know, you have that one moment when you're like, is she dead? And then everyone decides, yes, she is. At which point, you know, there's not much else to be done, apart from obviously getting the formalities and disposing of the body and so on and so forth. So today I had a chat with the funeral director. I read an article yesterday about how Dignity were apparently hoodwinking people and so on and so forth, and they were charging extortionate prices. And now our funeral director is part of the Dignity group. Now I will say that funeral director, she has been wonderful. All of the staff have been great. And they personally have been wonderful. Dignity, however, are clearly a bunch of because like the way they lay out the funeral costs is just made intentionally to confuse people. So they show you the full package, which comes from this price, and then underneath it you have all the different things that are in that full package, supposedly, you would assume, because they're underneath that full package heading, and the price of them. And then you have the next page, it has the coffins, price and asking, and then below that, additional costs. So those are the things that are additional, surely, because otherwise, why would you call them additional costs? And then, on the next page, you have the simple package. And the simple package is the cheapest one. And it's got less options, and it's got, you know, less fancy things, and you can't go visit people at 3 a.m, that kind of thing. And then that's on that one, and that's got a whole list of things that it does, which a lot of them are very much the things on there. However, every time there's a little line that says this isn't included, or this is included. That if you've read this one really well, you'll notice what's on there. And then on the other side of the next page, you have the limited package, which is the in-between package, which obviously you put after you put the high and the low one, you then put the middle one, because that's how people work. And once again, the text is almost identical to the simple package one. But you really have to sit down with the funeral director and go through it and work out that actually the only difference between limited package and the simple package is getting to pick your coffin. And so you're paying an extra £500 for the privilege to pick the coffin. Actually, in theory, what you're paying for is the privilege to see your loved one whenever you want to. But in reality, they will allow you on the limited package, at least at this funeral home, to see people within reasonable hours. So not necessarily work hours, but you know, if it's like 8 o'clock in the evening, they'll happily see you. If it's 4 o'clock on a Saturday, they'll happily let you in. Just let them know, and they will do that. But the fact that they don't have just a table, which is features of funeral, levels of coverage, what's involved in them, and what's extra. Because keep in mind, remember that list of things that were definitely involved. 2 of those definitely not involved, definitely not included. So they were definitely included. 2 of those definitely not included. So the limousines and the embalming that were in that list, not included. And somebody has intentionally made, because this comes straight from Dignity, somebody's intentionally made this to be as obscure as possible, as difficult to read as possible. So there's no way anybody's actually going to be able to do it. And what they will do is exactly what my dad did, which will say, well, we don't want any fuss, we don't want to miss out on anything that we might have wanted to have, and therefore we'll just go for it. And that's what we're going to do. We are just going to go for it. On the understanding that boycotts don't work. I say that knowing full well that I do boycott like Nestle and Microsoft and things like that, but that's just because, you know, fuck them. But yeah, boycotts don't work. Making a stink is what works. Why am I looking at the microphone instead of the camera? Boycotts don't work. Making a stink works. This is apparently scientifically proven. I totally saw a headline once which suggests that, you know, I'm sure the entire text of the article was exactly what the headline suggested, and that's therefore I will tell you what the headline suggested. And yeah, so what I now do is go on to various review websites, score them really lowly, explain the funeral director's great, that particular funeral parlour is great, the company, the umbrella company that owns them are just a massive garbage fire and shouldn't be trusted with anything, and should probably be sent to jail for trying to take advantage of the weak. Speaking of which, why the hell are funerals not under the NHS? Are we suggesting that somehow that disposing of bodies is not something that every family is going to need to do regardless of their income? You know, the most expensive parts of it are the bloody necessary parts of the getting the body out of the house, doing the actual cremation. Why is this not covered by the NHS? You know, I mean, sure, just like a poor quality one, or not so poor quality, you know, just a not particularly luxurious one. But yeah, why? Why would that not be covered by the NHS? What is the matter with people that they wouldn't think, well, obviously we do that? Is Big Funeral getting in on the government and lobbying them hard? Is that what's going on? But the other thing, you may remember at the start of this I had my King of Shave shave oil, which supposedly would last for 75 shaves. We are now 30 shaves in, and you know, also no, we have 28 shaves in because I missed 2. And you can see there's just a sliver of it left at the bottom there. I doubt we'll get more than 3 more shaves out of it. So it was enough, you know. I'm probably never going to shave again. Well, I might shave it. Shaving's on. Why would you want to spend this much time sorting your face out when you could just use clippers and go? Dun, 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 dun. That's mostly what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Just going, dun, 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 and then it's done. And it's just such a faff doing the actual shave. I mean, it's fine as a therapeutic thing. You know, if you go down to a barber, they're going to do the steam, they're going to do the towel, they're going to go and chop your face up good. Then yeah, fantastic, have a go at it. But if you're shaving at home, what are you doing with your life? You know, next you'll be putting on makeup and other pointless stuff. So there we go.